All right, friends, it's Chiman. We're back with another brand new video, and this is going to be a new video this time for sure. We're going to react to this guy. His name is Sean Jones Fitness. So this gym lifting slave, Sean Jones Fitness, he says, deadlifts don't build muscle. Do this instead. Yeah, deadlifts don't build muscle because it's based on performance, and it's based on performance, concentric performance lifting. Yeah.
Deadlifts don't build muscle in the way that you think they do. Everyone says that deadlifts are absolutely incredible for back growth, the upper back impact.
Well, look, man, it's because their back is so stiff. If they were doing it concentrically, even in full range of motion, that would definitely help. But it's so stiff at this point. Look at it. It's so concentrically. It's performance.
Particular.
And performance does not build muscle.
But it's not that simple. In fact, this could be an outright lie. So by the end of this video, you'll understand why deadlifts aren't ideal for building your upper back and what to do instead.
Right.
Now, just in case we've got any beginners here.
I agree with him. He's right. Because his experience tells him that.
Who don't know what the deadlift is, specifically talking about the conventional deadlift in this video. A deadlift is what it says on the tin. We have a weight on the floor and we just lift that.
Exactly. Look at your lift from the top and look at your legs where they are. They're concentric. You didn't do a full eccentric, did you? No.
Weight up into a standing position. And I'm going to preface this video by saying I am not a deadlift hater. I've actually deadlifted for the majority of the time that I've been lifting. I really like the deadlift. But
I mean, there are crazy people online trying to convince me their body's built through doing deadlifts. Not.
It's just not doing what you think it's doing. So let's talk about the first deadlift myth. The common belief that the deadlift is a great all-around mass builder. In fact, as little as 10, 15 years ago, if you were struggling to put mass on your frame, a lot of people on the internet would just tell you to do deadlifts and drink loads of milk and eat loads of bread. That's not really the best strategy. The reason why people say the deadlift is a great all-around mass builder is because when you're holding 100, 150, 200 kilograms...
Why do you have to drink all that milk and bread? Bread doesn't build muscles, but okay, milk. Put a lot of water in your muscle?
In your hands in a stood up position, you will literally feel strain and tension in almost every muscle in your body. But does that equate to growth? Not entirely. Now, another common belief is that the deadlift...
No, because the myofibulars, they have to be micro-torn to grow. Those spaces, when they're micro-torn in the spaces, they're replaced by myofibulars. That doesn't do it.
It works the upper back really effectively. So this is the traps, the rhomboids.
It's like this. No damage, there's no growth. Okay? No damage equals no growth. Yeah.
The lats, the teres major. But the reality is, yeah, you do train those muscles, but do you grow those muscles effectively from the deadlift? Now, before we get into the biomechanic breakdown of the deadlift and why the deadlift doesn't really build muscle effectively, I'd like to insert a little personal anecdote. When I became a personal trainer in 2011...
Because it doesn't damage your muscles. That's why it doesn't grow them.
For the solid...
That's why we have bodybuilding, and then we have these guys deadlifting, performing. Performing and bodybuilding are two different things. Read science. It compromises sportive performance, bodybuilding, lifting eccentrically. Lifting concentrically is based on performance. Performance does not build muscles. It's really simple. Only a dum-dum would believe that this shit builds muscle. And then they find out, like him, why he's so skinny and weak. I know, you're going to say, but he's strong because he lifted that heavy weight. He performed lifting that heavy weight, performing. Man, people don't really understand strength out there. There are different modalities of strength. You just don't understand it. The government loves people like this. They love performing strong guys because you're a small, weak, performing strong guy. Here's the thing. If you see a small guy, you're going to call him a small, weak, performing strong guy. What do they call a big, strong guy? A big, strong guy. What do they call a small, strong guy? A small, strong guy. All right. You think that a bunch of cops, when they show up, you think they're scared of a small, strong guy? No, they're scared of big, strong guys. That's why they bring a lot of cops.
4 years, I put a lot of focus into my deadlift. I even got to the point where I was hitting a 200 kilogram deadlift for reps, which isn't like...
Yeah, I know a lot of people like that. And so what? You performed really well.
Crazy good, but it's still fairly impressive for a somewhat skinny kid. And when I was put on a lot...
No, I'm not saying that this is not impressive. It is impressive because it's based on performance. I say that weightlifters are impressive. Their lifts are impressive because they're practicing at performing that lift really well. If I came in, if that was my goal, then I'd go to the gym every single day to perform like a monkey. A performing slave, get it? So I can perform for the rich people out there as a little slave, okay? As a peasant. But guess what? I want to become big and strong. I don't want to be a performing strong slave guy, whatever you want to call these people, okay? I don't want to be a performing slave. I want to get big and strong so I don't have to perform. I want to be strong enough so I don't have to perform all the time. Fuck.
Of focus and energy into the deadlift. I didn't really have much gains to show for it. I'd see people saying online, the more you deadlift, the more you're going to grow, the thicker your back will get. It increases your testosterone, your growth hormone. So
no, it doesn't. It doesn't do any of those things. If anything, it crashes your testosterone. It raises it and then it crashes it. And that's why these people are like, I don't know, they have all these problems.
Kept doing it, yet I never really seen the gains that I wanted. Now, unfortunately, around 2014...
I like this. He says he never seen the gains, but you did see gains. You saw gains in what? In performing. Your performing gains went up, but no muscular gains.
I had a back injury, not from deadlifts, but from squats, and the back injury...
Yes, I know a lot of people like that. Because they're weak, they're lifting on a weak body, and what do? They injure their spine, and then they're fucked. I can show you lots of people that have injured their spine, and now they're completely screwed up. They can't do anything anymore. Yeah. And that was not so much as the deadlift, it caused them the back problem. It was the squat, not the deadlift, really. See what I mean?
It was that bad, I literally couldn't train legs for a solid 3-4 years without excruciating lower back pain, bad sciatica problems. I was going to a physiotherapist and a chiropractor.
That means that you got bulging discs, they're banging on the nerve. It's going to cause you all kinds of problems, poor cord signal, a bunch of things. Burning, sciatica, all that, burning sensations, could even cripple you at some point.
Every single week. So I kept my training program the same. I just removed legs from the equation, and on my leg days I just did...
Well, because their problem is they're performing again. So they're trying to put a lot of weight on a skinny, weak body, performing concentrically, going against gravity. And as we know, when you go out in space, your body gets what? Smaller. Now, when you go with gravity, what happens to your body? It gets bigger and stronger, So... you really want to lift eccentrically. I mean, you want to squat eccentrically. You don't want to squat concentrically for performance, because that would be your main staple for building you big and strong. You understand me? The squat would be your main staple for building you big and strong. So you definitely want to do them ass to grass. And guess what? You're never going to be able to lift that heavy. You're not going to be able to go that heavy when you're going ass to grass, because you'll notice how weak you really are. So you're going to have to really build your muscular strength up eccentrically. Here's what people come to the realization. They start lifting eccentrically, and then they realize how weak they really are, and their real strength was based on performance and concentric lifting. So when they make a major shift, lifting eccentrically bodybuilding, they have a wake up call, bro. They get a big surprise, a big shock. They're like, holy shit, you know what I mean?
Abs instead, and guess what happened? My back absolutely blew up in a good way. I experienced the most gains I'd ever experienced in my life. Now, some people might say, well, this is just...
and how did he do that? From rowing, from actually really bodybuilding.
Because you're putting more focus into your back training. You're no longer fatigued from the deadlifts.
No.
Well, Yeah, kind of. If that was the reality, basically what we found out is that doing deadlifts specifically for upper back development isn't really giving you much bang for
Because you weren't targeting those muscles to cause them to micro tear and grow bigger and stronger.
your buck. The moment you stop doing deadlifts, you're no longer fatigued.
See, here's the thing. Bodybuilding targets every muscle group. That's the point of bodybuilding. We want to build every body part big and strong. We don't want to leave out any body parts so they're not big and strong. But in powerlifting, you are recruiting muscle fibers to lift something concentrically. So you're recruiting motor units and these muscle fibers, but they're not getting damaged because of the reps and whatever you're doing there. It's just not working.
And therefore can put more effort and intensity into your back specific.
That's why it's not superior. Concentric exercise will never be superior to eccentric exercise, and eccentric exercise will always be superior to concentric. You understand me? Because concentric exercise is associated with a loss of sarcomere in series, bro. Loss of these sarcomeres. They don't even build sarcomeres. Number two, eccentric exercise builds all sarcomeres across the board, in parallel, in series, and we build these other hybrid muscle fibers. We also, not only that, but through this remodeling phase, you're going from type 3 to type 1. You're converting the type 3 muscle collagen in the muscle fibers to type 1 to make it a lot stronger. That's how you get even stronger. You're not going to get injured. That's the idea.
Volume, meaning lat pull downs, shrugs, rows, face pulls. So basically, deadlifts, no gains. No deadlifts, more gains. So
see? More deadlifts, no gains. No deadlifts, more gains. Yeah. Body build, dude.
Let's go through the biomechanics of how a deadlift works. And the first thing that we need to consider is the range of motion. Now, in order to effectively stimulate a muscle and cause growth, you need to take the muscle through a somewhat decent amount of range of motion. So considering that range of motion is a big factor in muscle growth.
No, you don't. He's wrong about that because he lacks experience. He doesn't know anything about bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is based on the principle of eccentric exercise. So the range of motion is very short. That range of motion is very short, and it needs to be, and we have different modalities. We have a slower movement, faster movement, and sometimes we just have pure negative eccentrics. So yeah, just like concentric lifting, only the opposite.
Think about what the lats and the traps are doing with the deadlift. They're not really going through any range of motion. In fact, it's mostly an isometric.
No, it's isometric, but it is concentric, dude. Okay, this deadlift, the way he's moving here is isometric. There's isometric because he's holding onto the weight. His upper body's holding onto the weight, but his back area and his legs are moving, so that's concentric. It's a short-range concentric movement.
Contraction. This basically just means that the muscles are contracting in a static manner. Now, isometric contraction.
Yeah, they are contracting in a static manner. It's pure concentric. There's absolutely zero eccentric there.
Can cause a little bit of growth, but the emphasis right there is on little bit. Now, there's a slight caveat.
Okay, the little bit of growth, where do you get it from? It's usually from the isometric, because the isometric, as you progressively overload that isometric, it will pull on the muscle, causing it possibly to get some fiber splitting. Can't tell you for sure, bro. Some do, some don't. I don't know. Okay.
You are a beginner.
And they usually mess up the remodeling phase.
Could potentially benefit from something called stretch-mediated hypertrophy. This is basically where...
Okay, here we go with the stretch-mediated hypertrophy, but he wouldn't tell you eccentric exercise. Bro, everywhere it's eccentric that builds muscle, but no, these guys always have to bring up the cootie shit, like the stretch-mediated bullshit stuff, the lifting shit, whatever, performing slave garbage, whatever, but nobody ever talks about eccentric exercise, and that's what builds bodies, but whatever, dude. Anyways, let him go on with this bullshit, stretch-mediated bullshit crap, whatever. Yes, you could do stretch-mediated. Can it work? Yeah, it can work somewhat. But is it superior to eccentric? No, never. It will never be be superior to eccentric exercise ever. I don't care what people write online or whatever. My experience says eccentric exercise superior to concentric and this stretch mediated bullshit, okay?
When you train a muscle in its lengthened position, you experience more gains. But is training a muscle solely in its lengthened?
Yes, you can get it. But here's the thing, he's using his arms because he doesn't understand what lifting is all. He thinks he's performing again. So in his mind, he's performing by using his arms. It's all in the arms. It's not in the back. Now, I'm not saying some of it might come out in the back by doing this. If you do enough repetition work, I don't know, you get something. But a lot of these people, they use too much arms.
Range more beneficial than training it through its full.
And when you press like that with your arm, you're squeezing the muscle. When you're squeezing it, it's sarcoplasmic. You definitely don't want that. You don't want that.
Range, not really, no, especially after the beginner stage of lifting. So basically for the upper back, there's no range of motion. Another way to look at this is film yourself doing a deadlift and just take a look at the joint angles of your shoulder. If you want to work the lats and the traps and the rhomboids effectively, the shoulder needs to be moving. For the lats to get fully stimulated, you need to be doing shoulder extension. And for the traps and rhomboids to be getting stimulated, you need to be doing horizontal abduction and scapular retraction. None of this happens on the deadlift. The muscles aren't going through any meaningful lengthening and shortening of the contractions. And another point on biomechanics, the deadlift is largely all about leverages. It's all about moving the weight from point A to point B, and how your body is built will dictate how good or bad your leverages are. So an example, if you've got really long arms, the bar has to travel off the floor less, which is good for strength, but even worse for building muscle, because once again, there's less range of motion. Now, a common argument that we hear about...
Yeah, it's a shorter range of motion. That guy, because he's short, longer arms. I don't know. Who cares, man? Well, here's the thing. Why aren't you bending your arms? I have a question for this guy. He was bending his arms when he was doing the rows. Why didn't you bend your arms when you did the deadlift? Why did you bend your arms up, bringing up the weight up to your shoulder area, bending them while bringing it up? Get it, man? Why didn't that guy who just did this, guy with the long arms, why didn't he bend his arms? Why didn't he bend? Why is his arms straight? See what I mean? You understand people don't know how to lift because they're stupid? Look at the difference. Look at this. Look at this shit. Look at this garbage right here. Look.
When you train a muscle in its lengthened position, you experience more gains. But is training a muscle solely in its lengthened range more beneficial than...
Look at him bending his arms here. Now look at this. Now look at him here. Hold on. I don't know where that was. Where's his deadlift? Here it is.
Another way to look at this is film yourself.
So why is his arm straight there, but his arms were bent there? Why doesn't he bend his arms here? Why doesn't he bend his arms? Because you're using your body. You understand? Listen to this. All the tension is placed on where? Your back and your legs. Okay, where's all the tension placed on your back when he was rowing? Where was all the tension placed? On his arms. Because he's not using his back to row it. He's using his arms because he's an idiot. You understand, idiots? People, there's a lot of idiots out there.
Doing a deadlift, and just take a look at the joint angles of your shoulder. If you want to work the lats and the trap...
You understand me? You understand me? An idiot does as an idiot whatever sees or whatever. Who cares?
And the rhomboids effectively. The shoulder needs to be moving. For the lats to get fully stimulated, you need to be doing shoulder extension. And for the traps and rhomboids to be getting stimulated...
Yeah, why do you think people are using straps now and putting them around their elbows doing these exercises? They're doing it from their elbow, their lat area, they're doing their chest area from the elbow. Why? Because they realized, fuck, man, I'm pulling the weight in with my arm in my elbow area. My arm's doing all the work. Duh.
You need to be doing horizontal abduction and scapular retraction.
Horizontal abduction? Well, think about it. If I have the strap around my elbow, where will the majority of the... Look, how heavy can I go if I have the weight all the way out and my hand is over here, but I have my elbow I use and I press in? See what I mean? You could do more weight from your elbow in.
None of this happens on the deadlift. The muscles aren't going through any meaningful lengthening and shortening of the contractions. And another point...
It's like a crane operator. They're not going to bring the weight, a massively heavy weight, all the way at the end of the crane. It would cause the crane to crash and fall down and explode. You understand me? The weight, they bring it back in to the center point of that crane. So yeah, all the weight is there, so it doesn't fucking crash. It can handle more weight in the middle than it could at the end.
On biomechanics, the deadlift is largely all about leverages. It's all about...
It's like the Zercher, what do you call it? Zercher squat or Zercher deadlift or whatever the fuck these people are doing. This Zercher thing, they put it on their elbows. Okay, why are they holding the weight on their shoulders? Why don't they hold it on their arms bent? Because their arms are too weak, their hands are too weak, extended out. They'd never be able to do that. You understand me? It'd just be stupid. So all the strength is where? Well, if you put it on your elbows, the shorter range. If it was at a longer range, being in your hands, you wouldn't lift it, trust me.
Moving the weight from point A to point B, and how your body is built will dictate how
your limb muscles can only take so much weight.
Good or bad your leverages are. So an example, if you've got really long arms, the bar has to travel off the floor less, which is...
Why? What do you mean it has to travel off the floor less? Why doesn't he bend his arms like you were bending there rowing for your back? Why doesn't he bend them up in the air?
It's good for strength, but even worse for building muscle because, once again, there's less range of motion. Now, a common argument that we hear about why deadlifts are good for building the upper back is because people will say, yeah, but sure.
So the row, there's a short range of motion. Exactly. So why are you using your arms? Why?
Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates, Larry Wheels, they all say that deadlifts are great back builders.
No, they're not. They take steroids. They're not building anything. They're drug building. They're drug building and performing. And performing and drug building doesn't build bodies.
Which is a stupid argument because there are plenty top pro elite bodybuilders out there who never deadlifted in their lives. You can't use these top pro bodybuilders to establish what is a good training method or training principle for the natural average genetic lifter. These bodybuilders like Jay Cutler.
Average natural genetic builder. The average natural genetic builder should lift the way they're supposed to in bodybuilding, eccentrically, if they want to build their body big and strong. But if they want to perform like these performing monkey drug slaves, then they should do that. Be like a performing monkey drug slave. Get it?
Ronnie Coleman used to take anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 worth of steroids every year. Not to mention that they were genetic freaks. They are the outliers. Pretty much anything that they would have done would have got them results. I would argue it wasn't the deadlifts that built Jay Cutler's back. It wasn't the deadlifts that built Ronnie Coleman's back. It was the
drugs. The Anavar, the D-ball, the Sustanon 250, the Anadrol 50 tablets. And I don't know what else was in there, throw in the mix, Masteron and the Primobalin and all that. That's in the HGH. That's what built them. This phony look. And yeah, it wasn't them performing, because when they performed previously, naturally, it never worked.
20 to 30 sets of specific back volume that they did over the course of the week. The pull downs, the rows, the shrugs, not the deadlifts. I'd actually argue that if you removed the deadlifts...
Yes, I will argue this. If deadlifts were such a powerful means for building muscle, then why aren't any of these natural guys building muscle? Why are they all skinny? If you go to Athlete X, his buddy over there doing that 500-pound deadlift, he's a skinny bitch. This guy, skinny bitch. Go to Max Strasny, deadlifting, skinny bitch. Why are all natural people skinny, weak, skinny weak bitches doing deadlifts? Because, bro, performance doesn't build bodies. Get it? And then they're going to go, yeah, but we were copying, they're going to be like Alpha Destiny. Yeah, but I saw these guys on steroids. They were lifting a heavy weight and they got big. Yeah, the steroid people are lifting heavy because they took drugs. And that gives them the ability to lift even heavier. Get it? To perform even heavier. You're performing at a maximum heavy lift that you can as a natural person, but they're performing even heavier, but on steroids. So the question is this. Alpha Destiny was lifting heavy too, like steroid people. And maybe he even took steroids. I don't know. But guess what? It never worked for him. Why didn't he get big? Because performance doesn't build muscles lifting concentrically performing slave. Get it? Get it, man, through your fucking heads. Your fucking brain dead brain head.
from these top pro bodybuilders training program, the backs wouldn't look any different, maybe slightly in the erector muscles, but that's the lower back. So with that, let's talk about what the deadlifts actually work. The conventional deadlift gives a pretty good stimulus for the glutes, a little bit on the hamstrings, depending on how high your hips are, but mainly your spinal erectors. Where are all these muscles located? On the lower body. The deadlift is a lower body exercise. If you disagree with this, that's fine, but you don't understand biomechanics, and I don't care if you've made a lot of gains in your back muscles. It wasn't the deadlift, it was all the rest of your back training that got you those gains. And the deadlift's absolutely phenomenal for overall total body strength, specifically through your posterior.
Is the deadlift good for overall body strength? What kind of strength exactly? I don't understand what he's talking about. You mean being good at lifting this, like motor units, recruiting motor units and muscles and fibers and whatever? Performing at it? I'm not saying it's a bad exercise if you're doing it eccentrically. Yeah, it's not bad if you're doing it eccentrically because you'll get something out of it. So it is a builder, but it is not a strength builder when it comes to performance. I don't care what people tell me on my channel. I don't care what they say.
Chain. So this is everything from the top of your neck down to your calf muscles. Now, if you really want to add some size and shape to your back, and you don't really care about total body strength as much, then what are some...
What do you mean total body strength? Bodybuilding is total body strength. You're working on every muscle group to strengthen it, to get it to become bigger and stronger. You haven't left anything out for chance. What are you talking about?
Better alternatives that you...
Look at you. You're a skinny, weak bitch, bro. And when you walk down the street, the women look at you and say, look at this guy, skinny, weak bitch. You're going to tell them what I lift a heavy weight off the floor. They don't give a shit, bro. They look at you and say, skinny, weak bitch, bro.
Do instead of deadlifts. First off, for lats, we have pull-ups, pull-downs, single arm rows, single arm pull-downs. For traps, we have shrugs, upright rows, face pulls. Smith machine shrugs are my favorite. And
okay, so that's bodybuilding now. You're talking about bodybuilding.
For the middle of the back, so the mid-traps and rhomboids, any sort of row variation with your elbows out. So then it begs the question, when should you use deadlifts? Is there even any point in them? Well,
yeah, if they're done eccentrically, you should use them eccentrically. And you can use them in different ways eccentrically. There's different fashions. You can go all the way down to the floor and try to lift upward. You can keep your arms out. You can lift in an eccentric fashion with your legs, in a bent position. Pulling upward. There's all kinds of things you could do eccentrically with deadlifts. You can rock your back and forth with the weight. You could use your legs or your legs and your back. There's so many ways. There's so many variations the eccentric you could do these deadlifts.
Yeah, of course. Use deadlift.
Here's the thing. I don't. In the time when I was lifting, I just forgo the deadlift because it interfered with the upper lower body split. Because I had to damage my body. It would interfere. I couldn't do it. It'd fuck me up. So I left them out way much later. In the future, you could do them. But were they a necessity? Not really. Once you get bigger and stronger, you could do deadlifts easily.
For strength and performance, not for hypertrophy, building muscle. So deadlifts are obviously great for powerlifters, athletes, fighters.
Yeah, he just said it. Not for hypertrophy, not hypertrophy. So what's it good for? Performing slaves, to perform. To perform for people out there, performance slaves. Look, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with being a performing slave. If you want to be a performing slave for people, especially now, there's videos, there's YouTube online, there's lots of channels that perform for the audience out there. There's a lot of there's no end to these performing slaves out there for the audience out there now on YouTube. Now in the past, without YouTube, there's nobody to perform for other than people in the gym. And a lot of people still perform for their buddies in the gym. They're lifting performing slaves the way they lift in the gym. Get it? Screaming and yelling and doing weird shit running around. Okay? So let them go to the gym. Let them keep failing. Okay? And then they're going to cry, whine, bulk diets, whatever. Fucking. They're never building their bodies. And in the end, they just abandon it or give up. That's what happens to all these channels. They get injured. They retire or they just give up or whatever. They're gone, dude. Because it's all shit. They realize it's all crap. So many channels have now closed because these performing slaves, they realize nothing's going on and then they quit. Their channels are dead. And some of them, they even removed their channels. Like that guy I posted in my community section. That 23-year-old powerlifting dude, that asshole, he fucking removed his social media. You understand me? Once he got a little bit of injuries, whatever, and then he retired, they say retired. Oh, he fell off the planet, bro, because it's shit. Get it?
But not so much for people who are solely looking to sculpt their physique. Now, let's say you really love deadlifts, but this video has given you some food for thought, and now you're starting to question whether you should do them or not, and your goal is to build muscle, maybe with a little bit of strength. An alternative to the conventional deadlift, which has got far more benefits for building muscle.
Yeah. Look, I cannot say that. Here's the thing. There are some people that started performing in the last 10 years. Maybe they started being performing slaves in the last 10 years or 5 years. But the people that started early, they're gone. The people that are just starting out now, maybe have a channel and they're performing slaves, you don't know when they started. It's just like the marathon runners. They go, look at that guy, he's 90 years old, he's a marathon runner. Yeah, he's a marathon runner now at 90. You understand me? There's a lot of people that started lifting, they started lifting late in their life, and they could be tricking you on TRT or whatever they're doing fucking there, dude. I don't know what these people are doing, and I don't really give a shit, all right? The thing is, whatever they're doing it for their own, I guess they're doing it for their own benefit or to impress people, whatever. I never done anything in my life that I wanted to impress somebody. That's just crazy. If you're lifting because you want to impress people or whatever, that's just insane. I'm not saying people will look at you and be impressed with whatever you're doing there, but if you're doing it because you want to impress people, well, that's just crazy, man. Get it? Even me, I put up some videos posing. I'm not posing because I want to impress people with my physique. I just pose because, well, these are the gains, whatever. This is what I'm getting, or this is what I look like now. But I never posted because I want to impress people. Get it? And I never find any of my posing videos that impressive anyway, so I don't really give a shit.
So whilst still building.
Because I'm an older person now. Maybe if I was younger and I started posing, maybe it would be impressive to some people. But how could you be impressed by older people? I'm not impressed by older people. And I don't care if they look good or not. They're old. So it doesn't impress me. Young people impress me because they're young.
Strength is the Romanian deadlift. There's a bigger range of motion through the hamstrings with the glutes and the erector spinae. So
I like those. Those are great for they're great for that.
Romanian deadlift is working all the same muscles as a conventional deadlift, but better and to a greater extent.
Yeah,
or you could do something like
they're great for the hamstrings, yes.
Snatch grip deadlift.
Snatch grip deadlift? That's just really stupid, but okay. People do that in weightlifting. Snatch grip deadlift. Okay, you could do that, but why would you want to do that? That doesn't work in bodybuilding.
I had a fly on my arm then. A snatch grip deadlift gives you more range of motion through the knee joint, which means more quad stimulus. In fact, I was stuck at a 1.
Yeah, okay, and?
180 kilogram deadlift.
You could have just did it off the floor anyways, eccentrically. Hello.
For ages. So what I did is I switched to snatch grip deadlifts for about 8-10 weeks, using around 140, 160 kilograms. And then after those 8 to 10 weeks, I went back to a conventional deadlift, and all of a sudden I was able to hit a 200 kilogram deadlift. So that new novel stimulus that the snatch grip deadlift gave me.
Well, yeah, because you were doing it eccentrically, so your legs got a lot stronger. And your grip was slightly wider, so there was more... Oh, man, there was more tension on your limb muscles, bro, and your back. Okay, yeah.
Had really good transferable strength over to the conventional deadlift. So to summarize, do the deadlifts build muscle? Kind of, yeah, but just not to the level that you think.
Yeah, if it's done eccentrically, it can build muscle, yeah. It can get damage and then it'll build, yeah.
They do, and not in the areas that you think it does. If you're really prioritizing the deadlift, you're going to be getting a lot of glute stimulus, hamstring stimulus, and lower back stimulus, which is great, okay, but not so much in your upper back. Does it work your upper back? Yeah, it does, and I want to clarify that. I'm not saying that it doesn't hit your upper back at all. I'm just saying that it is.
Yeah, it's isometric in your upper back because there's an isometric pull on your back muscles and your limb muscles. Okay, yeah.
Better things that you can be doing for your upper back that will give you much faster results. So at the moment, I don't do a conventional deadlift, I just do Romanian deadlifts. It allows me to still do a deadlift variation of some sort because I actually enjoy doing deadlift.
That's still concentric, that's still performing.
lifts, but get more benefits from it due to the larger range of motion. So if your goal is to build muscle and you're natural, choose exercises which load the muscles through a full range. And if you'd like to put all of this information together, check out my Apex Athlete app down.
If your goal is to get big and strong, lift eccentrically. Okay, basically. If your goal is to be a performing slave, then do these performing slave lifts. Get it concentrically. And yeah, don't complain you're not building yourself big and strong then. Like this guy crying.
Below, it will build you out a customized training program based on your goals and preferences, or if you would like to work with me one-on-one.
See, here we come with the programs. What did this guy get here on the left? Nothing. He got leaner. Okay. He worked himself. He worked his muscles, got leaner. What did the guy get here on the right? He got a little bit leaner. And he got a little bit puffier like the guy on the left. Okay. They didn't really gain anything here, these two guys. They got a little bit leaner, something. Maybe some sarcoplasmic. They got puffy too. They got leaner and puffier. Some non-contractile protein, something, whatever. I don't know. Who cares?
Want to get you in the shape of your life in the next 12 weeks? Then apply for my online.
He's going to get you in the shape of your life. Does just lifting and getting lean make you in the shape of your life? No, not necessarily. But okay, whatever.
Coaching down below. Drop a like on this video if it's been informative, and I'll see you on.
I like the video. It was interesting, man. But I'm not interested in being a skinny bitch. I'll see you in the next one. A performing skinny bitch, bro. Like this dude. I'll see you in the next one. Tell what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Nobody is interested in a skinny bitch. Okay? A strong guy, small, strong, skinny bitch. All women are interested in big, strong guys. A bigger dick is stronger than a little dick. That's why women like big dicks. They don't like small dicks, okay? Because a bigger dick is stronger than a little one. See you in the next one. Ciao, man.